Hi, marketers. This is Dot, and welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. With me here is LinkedIn's number one marketing expert, Justin Rowe, Chief Marketing Officer at Impactable. We will discuss the branches of LinkedIn marketing that drive commercial B2B impact. I know you guys are ready, so let's do it. Justin, welcome. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you for having me on here. Excited to be here finally. And yeah, I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. It's really an honor. So for those who don't know you yet, and for most especially the D2C folks or the B2C folks, um, tell us a bit about yourself, your background. You've done a lot of great stuff. Tell us about those things as well.
So the quick recap, the 30-second story is I got my start on LinkedIn maybe 5-6 years ago. I was in the restaurant industry, discovered LinkedIn, started growing my network. Weirdly enough, I was looking for job opportunities, but instead I came across investment opportunities. So I crossed over. Instead of finding a better job, I found investors to become a part restaurant owner. So I actually
Mhm.
became a a franchise owner in Potbelly Sandwich Shop franchise. And then I started a LinkedIn side hustle, helping other people and businesses leverage LinkedIn, grow their network. That turned into a LinkedIn outreach agency. We grew to about 200 clients, and then we were acquired by a data heavy investor. So 2 years ago, I actually got acquired, and we pivoted to a LinkedIn ads agency at that time. Now we have about 250 active clients. I
Wow.
think we're one of the largest LinkedIn ads agencies in North America and maybe in the world, other than massive marketing agencies that just happen to have a stable of LinkedIn clients. We're like a pure LinkedIn ads agency. I've grown a nice following on LinkedIn, about 70,000 followers, and I am really proud of my little YouTube channel with about 2,000 subscribers. And yeah, happy to be here and share some information about LinkedIn and hopefully give some actionable advice for anyone listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, you've really, really done so well. And I have no doubt if it's like in the world, because again, we're discussing off the mic. We've had Neil Patel. And I was giving him all the encomiums. He said he hasn't gotten to the top yet. I'm like, okay, if you say so, sir. So and I'll say the same for you as well. It's I guess it's always about keeping in touch with the
Yeah.
latest developments, most of which we'll be discussing today, and starting with LinkedIn ads. I don't want to get into what's a LinkedIn ads or what is a click in LinkedIn ads or why LinkedIn ads is very expensive. I want to imagine a good number of people listening know that. But what I'm really interested in is the changes in the platform. Just recently, they said in February, so this is being recorded in January 2024. In February, AI audience discovery is going to happen. Similar audiences and things like that will be cut off, just basically copying what Meta and Google did, which is not bad. I'm not saying
Yeah.
copying is bad. I think that's the way to go. Other things like the LinkedIn audience network. Is it good traffic? Is it garbage traffic? It's cheaper. Brand safety is also there. I saw one that shocked me recently, CTV placement. So I didn't know
Yeah.
that LinkedIn is getting into TV, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. We could go on and go on like that. But honestly, especially with LinkedIn, there are things that you like and there are things that you don't like. There are things that we should trust or don't trust.
Yeah.
Which one of them do you really like, especially in the last, I guess, past year or so, that you think folks should check out?
Um, Most of the newest ones from LinkedIn, I would be pretty suspicious of. The AI audiences, the predictive audiences, the CTV, I would test a lot and not be too sure about. And LinkedIn Audience Network, I still am pretty iffy on the placements and
Yeah.
and and it's the placements of the CTV, and like anyone who looks at the back end traffic with Google Analytics sees that it's like 99 point something bounce rate. And it's just taking a lot of the money off of LinkedIn onto these audience networks. So I would say that most of the stuff they're doing, like I think they're moving in the right direction, but they're still a less mature platform than Meta. I'm still not gonna trust their algorithm like I do Facebook. Some of the stuff I do think is really good though that they have rolled out is,
Mhm.
and this was last year, so I speak more or I have more confidence in the rollouts that are more established now and proven. So single image retargeting by single image interaction, that was a nice rollout. thought leader ads. That was like
Yeah.
in the last 6 months. That was a huge improvement because I'm a huge fan of marrying paid and organic into like a blended strategy. And now I can take my greatest hits of my LinkedIn organic and make them evergreen and targeted. So
Yeah.
those are probably the biggest ones. But yeah, the new ones, the predictive audiences, audience expansion and stuff like that, I'm very, very hesitant to try or trust. And not to try, but to trust or to
Mhm.
throw too much budget at them at once.
Yeah, you're right. Especially with, we at Listen Network, we're trying and working on the audience network expansion. We're able to even go further into brand safety because that way you're able to control your, or, placement. But, you know, who tells LinkedIn, oh, okay, give 50% to LinkedIn, give 50% to Forbes.com? No
Yeah.
one really. So they just distribute the thing the way they want. So right now it is off.
Yeah.
But the costs are not too bad. We're still good there. And it's exciting to see that LinkedIn is get ads, especially is getting more accessible to marketers,
Yeah.
going forward. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's this is a bit. I don't want to say out of your comfort zone, but again, you are the number one LinkedIn man on the planet. So sales outreach, it's
Yeah.
cold, it's sometimes boring. It's
Yeah.
sometimes too much. It's a lot of things. But I still believe that it can be done properly.
Yeah.
Let me give a very good example and maybe shake some tables. We are here on the podcast. I reach out to you on LinkedIn. Of course, I wanted to know you as an amazing person, which of course you are even in the first couple of minutes, discussing about industry, discussing about work. Maybe I reach out to you 3 weeks from now and sell you something. You obviously would at least consider it because we've established some sort of relationship. And that was LinkedIn. It's
Yeah.
different from what we get these days. I'm sure till today, people still chat to you about project management training as
Yeah.
if, you know.
Yeah.
So and all these things, people wasting credits as it were. I know there are ways that you have cracked this even further than my own account-based podcasting strategy. How is that? How do you think people doing outreach, how do you think they can really make this better into something that ties into the current B2B buying journey of people these days? That is less intrusive.
So there's a couple things there. So originally,
Mm,
the startup that I founded originally before I was an ads agency was a LinkedIn outreach agency. So that actually was the primary business that I got into, like my first startup. And
mm.
so, but that was also back when you could send 100 connection requests a day, and it was kind of like a free for all out there. And with
So
those
it's
kind of numbers,
200 a week.
now it's much more limited, so the philosophy has changed. But one thing I did
Mm,
realize is, like, back then, is that one of the big differences between, like, when I see a message in my inbox, if it's just like a pest, if that's just noise, or if it's something that resonates with me, sometimes it's just timing and relevancy. Like,
mm,
if it's the right time and I'm looking for that solution and you hit me with the right message saying that you could be direct. You could say, hey, I'm connecting with you. I'd love to be a resource in this area where I'm an expert, in video editing or podcast or this. And if you hit the right person at the right time, sometimes that's all it takes. And so I wouldn't say that can't just come out and sell.
okay.
Because I did find that if you hit the right person with a relevant message and you do it in a way that's very direct and transparent, and the way I looked at it was connect with people that you believe that you can serve, introduce yourself and position yourself as an expert resource should they have a need.
Mm,
Sometimes that's a really powerful way to do it. And then as a backup plan then would be, okay, now they're in your network, you should probably be posting some content around that, because if you hit them at their exact right time,
mm,
maybe they will have a need. Maybe you will be the person to help solve them. Maybe it's in a couple of months. And so you got to do something to continue to nurture that relationship. So I would say that's a good approach. Send targeted connection requests to people that you believe you can help. Introduce yourself and position yourself as an expert in your field, ready and
mm,
willing to help, and
mm,
then create content that helps either, build that, further the conversation, solidify that relationship. And yeah, if you can take the extra time to actually jump on calls, get to know them, maybe, figure out if there's any business you guys can refer each other. Those relationships work really well, but I'm also not opposed to just connecting with people and being a little direct
Yeah,
upfront, because that really can work.
I like that. I like that. I mean, but I think one thing we can really agree on is it has to be purposeful. It has to be targeted. There are outreaches that even though I'm going to say no, I take time to reply because
Yeah.
this was good. This is a very good outreach. But some, it's probably in your head now. No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Cuban famously said he gets 1,000 emails a day, and maybe 99% no thanks, no thanks.
Yeah.
So it's just having that difference. But you have a very good point there. With regards to the process, and it could be different ways. Mine is podcasting, but it could be different ways on how to make this an account-based approach. Okay, you want to add something?
Yeah, I do think on that one, like the offer matters too. Like, because if it's
Okay.
oversaturated, like so on LinkedIn DMs, like if you're trying to reach out to people about high quality domain authority, like backlinks and blog posts, like good freaking luck. But
No way.
honestly, if you have an offer that isn't like saturating, that same target's inbox, then I think you do have a chance to be direct. And to your point with the podcasting, like I don't think, sure, it's trending and it's becoming more, but I don't think it's over abundance. And especially
Mhm.
if you drill into a specific group that you think you can serve best, and that specific group within the whole ecosystem isn't being overly saturated with messages about that offer, you have a much better chance of getting their attention. Because yeah, that's the other thing. Like there are offers out there, like the ones you mentioned with the project management and the training and the leadership, or the LinkedIn, influencer. There's a lot
I
of those
get that
offers and
too.
high
Yeah.
quality backlinks. Like I get those freaking every day, and I don't, I can't.
I think good point on the offer. That reminds me of something. Guys, if you are doing outreach, don't say, "Hey, Justin, I just figured out that your website traffic is down 5%. Do you want to know how? I already have the reports. Do you want me to send it to you? Why not just send it already if you actually
Yeah,
have it, right? Just send
yeah,
it already." Account-based marketing is stressful.
yeah,
What I've done with this podcast, for example, is stressful. There are a couple of teams, including myself, going in, looking at, checking stuff. I share I write QBRs on my podcast, even with the low numbers, and send it out in my outreach. That is how authentic I want to be, right?
mm,
So if you're actually saying you've done some audits for someone and you're
yeah,
saying, do you want the audits? Like, just send the audit already, and maybe that might increase the result of your outreach. That's to you folks, the DR domain backlinking people there, but but
yeah,
I get that all the time. Even YouTube too as well. Like, I see that your YouTube traffic is down, but I
yeah,
have the reports now. Can I send it to you? Anyway, I'm not. I don't. It's just very silly. So guys, just stop it. Okay, so again, we're discussing up the mic, and I think this is my opinion, favorite approach to LinkedIn marketing, and that's how it's used for demand generation, how it's used for thought leadership. You mentioned thought leadership ads there, and on my end, we're exploring podcast promotion through LinkedIn, and just producing hero content and distributing that basically to, people would say in B2B, there's 5% of people that know about your product and 99% who don't. And I'm involved in a couple of projects now where it's only 1% or 0.5% that know about the product. So there is so much demand generation that needs to be done, basically
yeah,
100%, depending on where you are. My question is this: for those who are shying away from getting into this world, what do you tell them? People don't want to be thought leaders. They don't want to elect another thought leader in their
yeah,
company. What do you tell those guys? Because I think every brand out there, especially in the B2B space, needs to have one person. Doesn't have to be the
yeah,
CEO, who is really the face of the brand, talking about the things they do, talking about how they help customers, and just adding value on LinkedIn.
yeah. So a couple of things I would say is the first one is that it's A lot of people get scared to get started on LinkedIn, and one of the thoughts is, okay, so I'm just getting started. I have no followers. If I make a post, I get no engagement. Like, and everyone's already out there. They have all this following. Like, it's too late for me to get started, and there's no way I can compete with the ocean of knowledge out there. So one thing
Mm,
I like to think about LinkedIn is, instead of thinking of it as this big ocean that you tiny minnow are about to step into and try to make noise, think of it as small ponds. If you
mhm,
have 1,000 connections or 3,000 connections, that is your pond, and you can actually dominate your network fairly easily. Now, you can't dominate all of LinkedIn. That's hard. But if you
mhm,
have a small network and it's targeted and you can grow it, you can dominate that network. And to that group, most of your connections have 500 connections or less, and most
yeah,
of their connections are not posting as actively as you could. So
yeah,
you could dominate the feeds, and to your group of to your network, you could be the loudest, the biggest voice on your topic, and you could establish yourself as the authority. So if you think of it in those terms, it is actually much easier to carve out even a tiny little pocket for yourself to create a space where you become the most visible expert to a growing number of targeted people. And
mhm,
so that might help you get started at first. And then I would say, personal content from a leader in your company, it helps humanize your brand. And it helps, I think one of the biggest strategies that kind of made me believe that this was the right way to go was when I was originally starting my first startup, the
mhm,
LinkedIn Outreach. I
yeah.
actually stole a lot of ideas. Well, I say steal, borrowed.
Mhm.
It was
But it's okay. You guys, you know what you're saying. Please don't call the FBI. Go on.
It was well, and they know because I've told them. It was a free ebook from, the guys at Banff. I don't know if you're, there was Banff, and then there was Cleverly, and then there was a couple of big names in, like, the LinkedIn space. Banff,
No.
they had 2 co-founders, and one of them was, like, a well-known growth hacker at the time, and they
Mhm,
created this, like, 100-page free ebook on, like, exactly how to do LinkedIn outreach, what automation to use, templates for outreach messages, how to structure like backend automation in Zapier, how to pull Zapier information into a sheet. I literally stole that and I
mhm,
used it to pretty much help get my agency off the ground. And they don't really care because out of the like thousands and thousands of people that downloaded the ebook, tons became paying customers. It was their biggest revenue generation ever. And
mhm.
probably I was the only guy in the universe, or maybe there was 2 others who took
Yeah.
that and like became tiny competition for them, to some degree.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that kind of sparked my this idea of like give the whole damn playbook away as a strategy, because when you do, one of two things happen. Either they have a lot of time on their hands and no budget, and they're going to take what you say and try to enact it. And if so, cool. They were not going to be your customer anyway. Or
yeah.
they have the budget, they lack the time,
We
or
don't have the
they
time.
underestimate the complexity. They start digging
Yeah.
in, they see you as the expert, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Dang, it's more complicated than I thought. You are the expert. Take my money and do it for me." So I
Yeah.
started creating that kind of content, like literally just showing people exactly what I do, how I framework stuff, the exact strategies I use for clients. And that became some of our biggest like thought leadership, subject matter expert, and inbound generating content out there. And that's when I kind of became a believer of this whole demand gen type content and movement, because that's what was fueling our business, that kind of content. And it wasn't, these funnels and, me just being one funnel away from 8-figure agency. It was this demand gen thought leadership content that really moved the needle the most for us.
And you're right. That's correct about you. That was how I knew you in the first place. I like we're speaking. I found you on YouTube, and you're always sharing screenshots. You're always doing this very specific stuff. Like you're always sharing this. This is how this is done. This is how this is done. And I think the reason why some people might be scared is that if I do all this, then what? Can't somebody just take everything?
Yeah.
And again, still from the stealer, right? No,
Yeah.
I no shades. I just wanted to put that line there. Because you got a framework for someone, then someone is just going to get all your videos and
Yeah.
make a company out of it. But people have said it all the time. Oh, I can copy Facebook. I can
Yeah.
make a Twitter or X copy. It's much easier said than done. There is
Yeah.
people, process, and technology to drive a company or to steal an idea, if you put it that way. So if you're there, don't be scared. about somebody copying you out. Nobody's going to copy you. And even if
Yeah.
they do, you're also constantly improving, which is what Justin does in this LinkedIn chat. If something comes out, talks about it. Something comes out, he says this is how to do it. People like Justin out there are the ones that have trained people like us to go online. There's no university for this stuff,
Yeah.
and become a self-taught digital marketer, basically. I can go on and on as to some of the other people. Uh, if you're listening, you probably have someone you follow that just gives you as great value as possible. And then you will use that to make money for your company or use that to make money for your agency going forward. So that makes a lot of sense. Guys, this is how we do it on the Marketing Leadership Podcast. So much wisdom, from the sage. And this is a sage right here. So much wisdom that you can learn. Please, all I'm asking for you is to share. If you follow, fine. If you like, fine. If you give a review, fine. But the one place where I'm going to quarrel with you is if you don't share, you're not helping me out. So please, we are doing a lot of work here. Help us out by sharing. And it helps us out. And for those who are sharing, thank you so, so much. There are so many marketing podcasts out there, so you just got to stay unique in one way. And mine is just to talk too much so that the guest doesn't have a chance to respond.
I like
You know,
it. Takes the
so
pressure off.
right, it takes the pressure off, and maybe trains me for different other adventures as well, like speaking engagement, which is something that I'll be focusing on. So if you're listening, you just might see me in that event very soon, but we'll see about that.
Nice.
Guys, I have one more question for Justin. He mentioned something close to that in terms of like niche audience, 500 contacts, and we'll get there. But you don't want to miss that question. We'll be right back after a quick commercial from our sponsor, and it's also going to be the Dots Rapid Fire. Very, very hot fire. It's got the resources, Justin. So let's see if you can handle it. Stay with us. Welcome back, guys. So, like I said, this is Dots Rapid Fire. As if you're following, it's either of two things. It's either the marketing court of law or the hot kitchen of marketing. And it's three questions. Justin is going to say the truth and nothing but the truth. I see he's ready. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, Justin. First question: what is your favorite marketing metric? And I don't want to hear sales or revenue.
Right now, for LinkedIn, I really like engagement. I'm running a lot of thought leader ads, and I'm watching
Yeah,
engagement, and it's uncanny the amount of correlation between peaks of engagement and actual, lead flow coming in. So I'm really watching the engagement metric right now.
Interesting. We had at the early days. Now I can call it early days, even though it's only been 12 months for this podcast. Brian Kramer, the H2H man, he also said the same thing. You're one of the few people that picked engagement as the mother of all KPIs, which is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, second question: how long do you use social media every day? From a LinkedIn person, let's see his answer.
I started 5 years ago, but I was really consistent for about 2 years, and then I got burnt out. I was actually more popular before I got burnt out. I came back with a vengeance the beginning of last year, and I would say I've been very consistent for over like a year and a half now again. But it was about 2 years before, and then I had to take a break.
Yeah. That happens. I tried starting this whole thing, Dots Loss Marketing, in 2018. And then I started a YouTube channel instead. Now the YouTube channel is being handled by my co-founders that are really my friends. And then I'm back to the dream, which is just 2023. All this is 2023. I am incredibly grateful for the momentum so far. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. Last question. What is your favorite marketing quote?
I forget who said it, but great marketing doesn't feel like marketing. And I think that's kind of the vibe I really try to go with, where people don't actually feel like they're being sold to. They're being educated, they're being moved through the funnel without noticing it. And it's that kind of content that is marketing that doesn't feel like marketing. Is yeah, I think that's my I forget who said it though.
I need to check. I believe I really want to believe it's
Good problem.
we call him the father of modern branding. The guy with the yellow glasses,
Ooh,
bald.
Seth
No,
Godin or this one?
Seth Godin. Yeah,
Yeah, Seth Godin.
people say it might be him because this is the most popular quote on the podcast.
Mm,
Um, the second popular one is by Jeff Bezos. They say the branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
I like that.
Yeah, that's why it would be the second most popular. So, but yeah, it's the age of demand generation where it doesn't feel like marketing. So I completely agree with you. And leading to the last question there, where best it is to talk about marketing that doesn't feel like marketing than my favorite of recent LinkedIn groups. I read the book recently and we had him on the podcast, Belong to the Brand.
Mm,
You know, the last this he said is the last marketing strategy. Mm. And community-based marketing for B2B is so important. It's so relevant. In the past couple of years, I often see that there's almost this B2B cartel led by the great Chris Walker,
yeah.
going on the web. Of course, I'm part of that cartel, so it's not like I'm hitting on it, but it's the power of community, really, about that. But I don't know if people leverage LinkedIn groups as they ought to. And I'll tell people what I do. So this episode comes out from Justin. We have our slice and dice. I have a list of maybe 35 or 30 groups, and I go into those groups one by one and share that episode and ask people if you want to watch it, go to my profile. So they go to my profile, they find the content. Hopefully somebody follows me there. So I have that eye on that. And then I do that on X as well. We have a little bit of a different strategy on YouTube because, again, I have a company that helps to build communities. So one my point is this: people don't think there's something in groups. And
Oh,
it probably explains why, because you get into a group like Reddit, for example. I couldn't keep up, so I removed the app. No promotional stuff, no advertising, you get banned and things like that.
yeah.
So there's hammers everywhere in groups. But I know that people still sponsor groups. Brands still do stuff on groups and get this very niche, very dedicated audience to get them to do whatever they need to do. So I have a feeling that you have also cracked that to an extent. But tell me about it. What do you think about groups in general? Do you think LinkedIn should all shut down the tool, or there's still something to gain?
I love the idea because I agree with you. B2B um, groups, communities, partnerships. I think that's a huge lever. LinkedIn groups, I feel like leaves a lot to be desired as far as what it could be. But the one thing I've
Okay.
realized with LinkedIn groups is this denotes that they're active users because they're not just on the platform. They're then seeking to be a part of something to further their knowledge or education in a certain area. I think the best advice would probably be if you could start your own group and control it, you could control the narrative. I do think a lot of groups, it can be hard because people start them intentionally to push a certain narrative or a certain product or to highlight what they want to sell. And so they don't really let other people do much. And then it just becomes, a little whatever. I do
Mm,
think communities in general, if you do this right and if you leverage LinkedIn groups to do this, then I think that would be a powerful tool because yeah, people are logging onto LinkedIn, and LinkedIn would be a great place for this because LinkedIn is the one platform where I feel like B2B decision makers actually log in wanting and willing to be influenced on buying decisions. And it's unlike any other platform. I don't go to Facebook
mm,
like
mm,
wanting or being willing to like be sold to, or X,
mm,
or
mm,
maybe YouTube because I'm learning
mhm.
how to do something. And if it's an agency or a really savvy
Yeah,
marketer who
yeah.
who sells something that, and I realize it's going to take me 12 hours and he could do it in 2 hours for X amount of money, cool, take my money. But in
Yeah.
LinkedIn, they're logging on. ready to be influenced. They want to know what tech people are using, what new marketing strategies, what sales techniques, what everyone else is doing. So groups can be a really powerful medium for that, if you do it the right way. But I do think LinkedIn's groups need some more, I don't know, a facelift or an some revisions to make them more useful to everyone. But yeah, so that would be, I guess, my initial assessment there.
It's probably platform focus, if you want
Yeah.
to call it that. I mean, I shared a post recently. Was it recently? Yeah, I guess a day before the recording of this episode, about why I think LinkedIn might also include podcasts. They do live,
Mm.
and it seems to be working very well. And we are now at an age where people are suspecting that Spotify may even get bought over by some of the big giants, and everyone wants to have their podcast, and ride on this podcast wave till
Yeah.
after 2030. So yeah, there's so much right now. Everybody's focused on AI, which is where I'm getting out with that. So that's a
Yeah.
bit I can understand that. But what I would say is that you're right. I think there's a lot that could be done. The groups have some big size, so I guess they try to stay neutral.
Yeah.
Most of them approve my posts, some don't. Even if it's Justin Rowe's podcast, you need to listen. But well, anyway, but there are also podcasts if you've got some extra buck, maybe like a cup of coffee amount, like Exit 5, for example.
Mm.
And I am willing to have the CEO on this podcast. So if you're listening, your name just escaped my mind now. Is it Dave? No, I think
Dave
it's
Gerhardt.
Dave Gerard. Just an open invitation, sir, to be on this podcast. We just asked Justin, so I'm now a big boy in my podcast. So anyway, that's one off LinkedIn community you can join. But I think B2B in general, when it comes to community, is something that brands should utilize,
Yeah.
including LinkedIn's community, of course, as a means to drive commercial value across sales cycle. I must add. I know we can go on and on here, Justin, but we
Yeah.
are at time. We are at time. This was a fun conversation. If you're watching this, you'll probably not be looking at Justin. You'll be looking at his mic that is just camouflaging and changing color all the time. So that was a very, very awesome tool out there. But yeah, it's really, really nice, getting your wisdom and learning everything about LinkedIn. Where can people follow you to get more of this stuff?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. Probably one of the best places you can find more information about myself or our agency is our website, www.impactable.com. We do have LinkedIn ads as our main core service, but we do offer we're branching out and offer some other channels. And then the other place I'm really proud of is actually our YouTube channel. It has, compared to my LinkedIn profile with 70,000 followers, my YouTube channel has 2,000. But if you've grown a YouTube channel, you realize like 2,000's a hard number to get to. I'm really proud of that.
Yes,
Um,
it
and
is.
and it's packed with, I think it's like 300 plus videos. There's even like a beginner's playlist, which basically flows like a how-to $300 course, getting started, installing the insights tag, making your first campaign. There's some really good stuff in there, some great expert interviews. And so I think that's a really good resource for anyone who kind of stumbles in there.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So guys, follow. I discovered Justin through YouTube as well. If you want episodes like this one, it's all on dotslovesmarketing.com. So that's dotslovesmarketing.com. Also, you can go on your favorite podcast channel, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Just search marketing leadership and you'll see all these great episodes. Yeah, it's not just about the guest, it's all about value as well. We ask uncommon questions or with common topics. So that's sort of the spin that we try to put on there. I'd like to thank Desk Creek. I'd like to thank Content Allies and Listener Talk for all their support. Till next time, connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Listen Network. There will be links to resources mentioned in today's show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.